My part of this program is to share with you some of the things that, in the pursuit of understanding about what we call the neurosystemic degenerative diseases, diseases in the human body where the cells of that body literally fall apart. And when they fall apart, they do a variety of damage. For example, if there are the cells in the substantia nigra, in the brainstem, and they fall apart, well, then those cells stop producing dopamine. And without dopamine, the disease Parkinson's presents. Or if they attack the cells in the pancreas, the beta cells stop producing insulin and diabetes presents. So these are the degenerative diseases. There are a whole range of them, and we've got all manner of documentation. And let me tell you this, that all of the documentation we use, and we have thousands of copies of documents, are peer-reviewed journal articles by scientists known throughout the world for their areas of research. Or if they aren't peer-reviewed articles from JAMA, the New England Journal of Medicine, and the Canadian Medical Association Journal, and so on, then we use government documents. And in some cases, we have government documents that the government doesn't even have. And I'll give you an example of this. I have here with me what's called Progress Report number 8 of the Special Virus Cancer Program, supposedly begun in 1972 by Richard Nixon when he said he wanted to find the cause and cure of cancer, and therefore he was creating a special virus cancer group that would be dedicated to this goal: find the cause of cancer, find the cure for cancer. And they began issuing progress reports annually. But the strange thing is that even though the program began in 1972, according to him, the first contracts they cite under that program were given in 1962. 10 years before they were giving contracts under this, under what became the Special Virus Cancer Program. Well, when Watergate hit, and E. Howard Hunt, whom some of you may know from a lot of activities, he was in Korea spreading biological weapons during the Korean War. He was in South America on the contract for the Rockefellers, killing certain trade union leaders and political opponents to the Rockefeller dominance of South America at that time. He was in charge of the Bay of Pigs operation and the advent of Castro regime. He was found behind Dealey Plaza on November 22nd, right after the assassination of President Kennedy. The point that I am making here is that there is a strong relationship between activities that have gone on of a criminal nature, the murder of a president, the break-in of the Watergate complex, the deposing, and there are criminal elements involved in this, the deposing of President Nixon. And also, there's a very strong relationship that I have discovered, along with the help of my son Bill, between those activities and the realm of medicine in North America and to a degree in the world, although there's a large part of the world does not support, and to any to some degree perhaps, the claims of the Western world about certain diseases. For example, there is a very strong school of thought in Europe that believes that a disease agent called the mycoplasma is a very important factor in a number of these diseases. And in the United States, this mycoplasma officially is not recognized. Now, our best example of that is the fact that the Johns Hopkins Medical University publishes a book which they call the Johns Hopkins Family Health Book, 1,865 pages, and they say on the cover, Johns Hopkins Medical School receives the largest grants of any university in North America from NIH and the Centers for Disease Control, and blah, 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 blah. And yet, when you go through those 1,800 pages, now I have not read the book through, I have to confess, but I first of all read portions of it and found absolutely no mention of the mycoplasma where I should have found references to them. I puzzled over this until I realized that from way back, somewhere close to the beginning of the century, in the 1900s, Johns Hopkins University had cooperated very strongly with the Rockefeller apparat, who had a great interest in quote-unquote medicine or health, and we have learned the reason for their interest in health. We have learned, of course, that those who control or regulate or impose upon people with health or ill health also control the lives to a very great extent of those people. And that brings me back to the special virus cancer program that I told you about and the government document. Now, I first want to say something about the U.S. government and this document. It's labeled Progress Report Number 8, and how can you have an 8th annual report in the first year of the organization? There was something going on before that. In this document, there is information, quite a bit of it, about the mycoplasma, which Johns Hopkins University doesn't even know exists. And the references to the mycoplasma are very suggestive. That is, as far back as 1972, there were scientists who were very, very well aware of the mycoplasma and hazards to health. Hazards to health among the degenerative diseases I referred to, and of course one degenerative disease in particular, very important to humanity, cancer, but another degenerative disease very important to you, AIDS, the subject of our presentation this morning. And I based a lot of the material that I present to you on the book that my son Bill and I wrote called AIDS, The Crime Beyond Belief. But the title of this contract in this book, or this record, is Procurement, Processing, Storage, Distribution, and Study of Human Tumor Cell Cultures. Good, there, that's fine. And operation of a central mycoplasma diagnostic laboratory. A disease agent, a mycoplasma, which is being collected, stored, analyzed, and so on as far back as 1962, and actually the record is before that. And so Richard Helms, the director of the CIA, said to Sidney Gottlieb, one of the chief honchos in the CIA, Sidney, gather up all the documents relating to three programs. Programs titled MK Ultra, MK Delta, and MK Naomi, and all documents that tend to substantiate or elucidate certain parts of it. So these documents were gathered up by Sidney, and he went to a great deal of trouble shredding them and burning them. And as a consequence, the documents really went down the Orwellian memory hole to all intents and purposes. Then Leonard Horowitz found this one in the basement of a library, I think it was in Boston, and he made it available to various people, including me, and then various people throughout the United States made us gifts of the other progress reports. A very complex web of deceit, that is true.